All right, welcome to our first guest episode. We just got done recording with Andrew Keaveny. It was a badass episode. Super stoked for you guys to hear it. Really enjoyed the conversation, and yeah.
Yeah, it was super interesting, man. He is going to be the youngest person to sail the seven seas and climb the seven summits, while also going to the North and South Pole. I believe he just got done with the second highest peak.
Yep.
And sailed one of the oceans already. And,
yeah, he's well on his way.
You can follow along with him. His YouTube channel is Sailing Aphrodite. But it was really cool, man, because he kind of goes into his story of where he's come from, some things he's been through, and it's I think people can get a lot of like inspiration from his story and like kind of the shit that he's gone through and where he's at now.
Yeah, so hope you guys enjoy, but we'll get right into it.
Hope you guys enjoy it.
Made it to the top. Only 30% of people do. Hardest thing I did in my entire life. Been crying since the summit. Crazy experience.
So, Andrew, welcome, dude.
Me on anybody?
Dude, so you've been fucking crushing it lately, dude. Like, my mom even follows you on fucking Instagram. I get, like, she reaches out. She's like, did you see Andrew climbing mountains and stuff? And I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, dude, it's been awesome to watch you and, like, see everything. So,
Yeah, and so Charlie hasn't really. He's told me like a little snippet of what you're doing. So for myself and basically, our tens of followers, do you want to kind of like go over like what it is you're doing and basically like what was the genesis of this? Like, why did you want to start doing this?
Yeah, so pretty much what I'm doing now is I'm trying to be the first person in global history to ever sail all seven oceans, hike all seven summits, and step foot on the North and the South Pole. There's only one person in human history that's ever done seven summit and seven seas, and that's where it started with. Well, that's actually not where it started. That's like the middle stage. And he finished seven summits, seven seas when he was 56, and he did it in 11 years. So originally, I wanted to surpass him and just become the youngest person in the world and the fastest person in the world to accomplish that. But back up even further, it originally was just supposed to be sailing around the world. I grew up as a kid with my dad watching YouTube videos of sailors sailing around the world, and I thought it was the dumbest thing. And I was like, who would want to trap himself on a boat and just live like that? Here I am, that dumbass.
you're on your boat right now. Dude.
On my boat as we speak right now. Exactly. I have to say, the old man was right. It's a very freeing experience. And it wasn't until I got on the boat that I started thinking. And when you're by yourself on a boat, you have a lot of time to think, boys. A lot of time. So as I'm sailing up to Nova Scotia, I was just thinking, like, in my head, I was kind of writing off sailing around the world already. Like, I'm doing it now. So what am I going to do next? I'm trying to be constructive with my life at the same time as trying to be successfully unemployed, So as much as I can be a bum, I'm still trying to set my future up by doing what I'm doing. So I was like, all right, well, once I finish sailing the seas, then what am I going to do next? I'm still going to need to make money. I'm still going to have to chase this burning fire inside of me of entertaining myself. Say, okay, let me do the mountains, because I had interest about doing the mountains. I did one in Mexico in like the worst shape of my life, and I could imagine what I could do when I was in good shape. So add those pieces together, and did a quick Google search of has anyone done seven summits, seven seas? And I was like, there's no way anybody was this dumb to do that. And there was one person. His name's Martin. He was in Utah. He's in his 60s now, and he sailed around the world with his family. And then he hiked the seven summits. I'm pretty sure he started doing it with a buddy, and his buddy passed away. He never meant to do them as a world record. He just did them like that's just the guy he was. And his buddy passed away, So then he would take his like buddy's shirt or something, the top of all the summits and like memory to buddy. And then lo and behold, he was the first person in history to do that. So I don't know what it is inside of me, but I want to, him already doing it kind of like takes away a little bit inside of how the difficulty for me. It's like, well, someone else already did this. So then just on my recent trip to Argentina, my buddy actually said, well, you know, people do the poles. They usually do 7 summits in the poles. Has anyone ever done 7 summits in the poles? And you know, the answer like this, that no one ever has, because he'd never been to the North or South Pole. So this is actually the first time I'm publicly saying it, because I wanted to keep it kind of down low, because I didn't want him to hear about it and then go do this. So, you know, kind of hoping Martin Frey's out there and he's getting less agile in his age, doesn't want to go on excursion.
Well, so far your secret said he'll be our first guest on here, so we don't know what he's trying to say. This isn't
For now, right?
For now.
Yeah.
But dude, it's been, you know, I knew you in the Army. We went to airborne school together and stuff, and like, dude, seeing your transition from getting out of the Army, you moved down to, dude, you've been all over the place. Do you want to tell a little bit about like kind of getting out of the Army, where you went from there? I know you ended up in South America for a bit, then you ended up living in St. Thomas more recently, up in New York. You've been all over, so
yeah. So I think it's just easiest to start from the beginning, I guess, from the service, like how we met. I mean, me and you. I think my most memorable time with you is getting butt tattoos together by that right off base.
yeah,
Right, that was right at Christmas time too, actually.
yeah.
But then I got out of the military, and I got out of the military in a less than honorable way. You know, I got that DWI, and it was the height of the time where they were downsizing the Army. So I got a general under honorable condition release. And at that time, I thought it was the end of the world, because my life was everything in the military. I was going to do 20 years. I was going to be a superhero, this, that, and the third. And that was my life goals and plans, right? So getting out, I put the tough guy persona on, but inside I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. But it's crazy, because things just fall into place. You know, there's if you stay on the path that you're supposed to be on, it's going to happen for you regardless. And that's just kind of what happened with me. So after I got out of the Army, I moved back to New York for a bit, stayed with my mom for about a week, and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. And then I moved to New York City, and I was living in New York City for a little while. And after New York City, I met a girl, moved 8 hours away with her, for her. That was a one-time lesson that I learned there. But it brought me to Rochester, New York, where I met some other people, had some great success with other things. I became a superintendent for a contracting company while I was going to school and working 2 jobs to become a physical therapist. And I was a weed whacker during the day, and I worked for Barilla, you know, the pasta company, Barilla, the blue box pasta. I was a packaging boy. I would pack the box of pasta to the brown box and send them on their way. So I was doing that for 12-hour shifts. Then I'd get up, I'd go to school for a couple hours, and then I'd go work half a day at this landscaping job that I had.
When would you sleep?
I didn't, and I was going to the gym at the time, bro. I was sleeping like 5 hours a fucking day.
Yeah.
Luckily, this was only like 4 days a week, so I had some time to catch up on it.
Yeah.
But it was nonstop, dude. It just kept going and going and going, because I was trying to fill that void of the Army, you know. And you never really fill that void. You just find other things to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what it was. And as I get older and the longer I go, I realize that it's all about the structure. So, you know, it's when I have structure, I feel that sense of safety inside myself, you know. So I feel like good. So when I was up there, I was young, I was dumb, I became the superintendent of that contract company, and I dropped out of college. I was making 6 figures at the age of 20 years old. you know. So, and then on top of that, I was selling drugs. So that was fueled through my early 20s. You know, I was making six figures and selling drugs. I was making all this money, living my absolute best life. And that went on for about 4 years. And lost my driver's license. And when I lost my driver's license, pretty much lost that contracting job.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a DWI getting out of the Army. But a year later, I got another one. So those back to back, and then me being young, dumb, I didn't respect the law. And it caught up to me, So I lost my license, and at that time is when really the idea of what am I going to do with my life sparked. And I came up with the idea I don't need a driver's license to drive a boat. And that's where this all started from. So I never got kicked out of the Army. I never got DWIs, and I never got in trouble. I would never be living the life I am right now. So it's crazy to come back through and pinpoint things and put stuff together to where things have brought me to today. Right.
I think that's huge, man. I think a lot of people, when they go through like stuff like that, you get all that dirt, all that, get down on yourself or have stuff happen, you maybe not making the best decisions. And that keeps a lot of people down. Like a lot of people has that happen and they stay down and they never, are able to pull themselves out of it, dude. But you are living testament. You don't stop with that. Keep going. Get past it. No one gives a fuck now. Like
exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like too, like you didn't take any time to like feel sorry for yourself, and you just were like, hey, this is where I'm at. Like I can either not fuck off basically, or I can keep like moving to. I have a new goal to go towards, because like that's one of the things why we started this podcast, was to highlight that, is that like you just said, when you get out of the military, nothing ever will fill that like itch basically, and so you have to take it upon yourself to figure out a new goal to go after. And it sounds like you've been able to do that.
And honestly, it's the starting point is just a goal, and I never was one to have goals or put goals forward. And that's for people listening in the future, things like that, that's like the number one thing you need to focus on. If you're in that kind of place, you're in that turmoil and you feel like you're going nowhere, the best thing to do for yourself is find something to make a goal and start with a huge goal, something so crazy. You asked me 10 years ago if I could hike all 7 summits and I could sail around the world, I would tell you there's no way in hell that I could do that, have the qualifications for that or anything. It wouldn't make sense to me. And then you say it to yourself enough times and make it become real. And that's where that goal breaks down into smaller goals. And those smaller goals are more attainable. And once you start making those smaller goals, getting you close to your bigger goal, that's when that big goal feels real. And that's just for anybody, anywhere. That's just a way to really get yourself from here back up to here.
What has been, like, you have had setback since following along with you, man. Like, you got the first sailboat, setback after setback after setback. You have been through just about everything to get to where you're at right now. Absolutely. Like, what kind of kept you going? How did you keep yourself going? Because like there's so many times where I saw you post something and I'm like, dude, like, is that it?
You're giving me chills right now. Yeah, you're right.
No, but like I remember you first started and you posted you were out on the water for an hour and your engine blew up or something like that. And
I was 6 months and $25,000 down the drain, pretty much. Well, I guess it wasn't down the drain, but I spent 6 months rebuilding my dad's old boat, and the only thing I didn't touch was the engine, but we thought the engine was solid. And 5 hours into my first day of my circumnavigation, sailing around the world, here I go, letting the whole world know, engine blew, and it was like watching my kid get run over by a car. You know, that's the only way I can describe it, because I felt like things couldn't go wrong anymore. You know, this was my time to shine. This was it. You know, everybody was looking up to me. Everyone's saying this is a great idea, and I was finally getting back up to where I felt respected and how I did back when I joined the army. People looked up to me and respected to me, and then I went through this phase of getting in trouble and the drugs and everything like that, where I was still a respected person, but not as much as I used to be. You know, and it's not like it kept me up at night, but you know, it's always in the back of your head. I like to be looked at as a good person, and that was one of the first times where I finally felt like my trajectory was going in the right direction. So when that happened, I just felt like everything around me crumbles. So I actually threw away the dream in my head, and I was gonna collect the insurance money from sinking, and that was my plan. So I 2 days after that, 2 days after the engine blew, I bought a ticket to Costa Rica, and I got shit faced for like 6 months. Just traveled and backpacked for 6 months, and just got drunk and partied and had a good time. I mean, it was great. It was a great time. Don't get me wrong. But then it came to the end where my nest egg of savings was getting smaller and smaller, and I needed to figure something out what I was going to do next. And we can even go back a further step. The very first reason I got the boat actually was to sail down to St. Thomas and open a bar with my best friend. And I had the money. I outsourced that money somehow, and still paying that money back actually. And the day my engine blew, it was me, my best friend, and his uncle. Um, his uncle pretty much said, you know, you got no place to stay when you get down here, nothing to do that, and basically pulled the rug out from under me and said, no, you're not, we just can't use you in the bar. And that that fucked me up. That fucked me up hardcore, because I just started blaming my best friend for it, all this stuff. I just got all this money, just raised all this money for what I needed to do this bar and go be successful.
Yeah.
Like year before that, me and my other best friend, we were going to open a sushi restaurant together. Things didn't work out. He now owns a sushi restaurant, so that's another thing. It bites me in the ass. So just fail at fail, just like you were saying. Every damn corner I turned during that 4-year period just led me to a failure. And again, just led me to where I am here today. So finally, I'm in South America. I'm traveling, getting shit faced. What am I going to do now? Actually, I went to an ayahuasca ceremony. I don't know if you guys are familiar with ayahuasca, but it's very, very potent hallucinogenic that's supposed to cleanse your body and mind and lead you to a better place in life. And it did for me. It made me want to finish what I started, and I poured my heart and soul to that boat. And that journey, that ceremony, actually led me to pursuing my dive master, which I'm a scuba diving instructor now, but at the time I pursued my dive master. And then I went and did a 6-month internship in Dominican Republic, where I literally worked for free for 6 months in Dominican Republic and was so broke. Like, I'm telling you, I've never been so broke in my life. And so
Yeah,
broke.
in the DR.
Dude, it was so bad, dude. I mean, I would treat myself to like a little donut for $1 at the fucking gas station, and that's how broke I was. And finally made it through that, and got my instructor, and I bought a plane ticket to St. Thomas, because in the back of my mind, that's where I was going on that boat. So I was like, you know what? I need to go to St. Thomas. I need to experience. I need the closure for myself. I just need to go there. And I did. And I came here and I worked for 6 months as a scuba instructor, saved up another like 30 grand. I set myself up to have the lifestyle I wanted that I have now. You know, I wasn't ready. When my boat broke, I was not ready. And I'll openly tell you right now, I was not ready physically, financially, or mentally to go do what I was going to do. You know, I didn't have any way to make money. I was just throwing it all out there to, in hopes I'd make it on YouTube. And if that boat didn't break, I don't know if I'd still be sailing today. You know, because I didn't have the ability to keep on going once that money ran out. So again, that happened for a reason. So now I'm in St. Thomas. I found an online job. I still have that job today. I do freelance writing. Uh, I was able to secure my disability from the army, all in this time while I'm sulking and beating myself up. All these little steps that I'm taking, those smaller goals, are finally stacking up, and I'm climbing taller. And
Hey man, just talking to you, the difference between you, I think the power of those small little steps too is like you said, you may not have been ready or had everything gone right, you may not still be doing it.
Yeah, and with the going back to the ayahuasca ceremony, so like, can you walk us through like what that was like, and then like for you to be like you're very reflective on like the things that you've gone through, and saying stuff like I'm glad that my first boat engine like blew up because I wasn't ready. Like, is that a something you came to post ayahuasca, or like how does that all relate to?
yeah, that actually, when did I come to that conclusion? I actually, no, I think that happened pre ayahuasca. That happened when I was sitting at a hostel in Costa Rica. No, a hostel in Nicaragua. I was sitting at a hostel in Nicaragua. It was
This
called,
story's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the hostel here. No, the hostel here.
Yeah.
no, the hostel is called The Space. And this was my fucking space. Like, it had a tiny little restaurant, it had an outdoor gym, it had this pool, it had monkeys in the trees. Like, this place was amazing. And I stayed there for about a month. And it was at that time where I got to where, like, okay, I just had too much time to think. I was getting tired of drinking. I was tired of living that lifestyle. I was seeing all these dead ended people where it's leading them, and I didn't want to be like them. The girls, the girls weren't worth it. I met a lot of cool people along the way, but I needed that structure back. The structure was gone, so I needed that back again. And it was not too long after that I met this friend named Travis. I'm still very good friends with the kid today. We became very close very quickly, and we traveled to this island in Nicaragua called Ometepe. And this island is two volcanoes that make up an island. And the original people there find this island to be like the holiest place in the country. Like, you go there to be with your ancestors and things like that. It's a very spiritual place. So after getting there, me and this guy like locked our heads in. We were both going through very similar experiences in life at the time. We were lost. We were looking for our next step. And shout out Travis. He's been living in Thailand now for a year. He's got a website business online that he does with his partner, and he's doing fantastic. I just talked to him not too long ago, actually. So me and him were sitting on a rock together when this crazy lady walked by us, and she was doing rapé. Rapé, if you guys don't know what it is a very, very, very fine powdered tobacco that goes into like a shooter that they stick in your nose, and somebody blows it into your nose. It's the strongest nicotine high you will ever experience. It's like God pulled your skull off and dumped a pack of cigarettes in your head at once. That's the best way to describe it. And after we did rapé with this lady together, we're both sitting there. Like, I mean, after it settles and your face stops burning, you feel like you're on a Xanax for a second. You're just like relax. You're so grounded. Like, Xanax is a bad way, actually. Because Xanax, you're really not there. But like mentally clear, my body's grounded. But like you're just lackadaisical. You're a little mush. And sitting here talking with this lady, turns out she was this shaman's like first-hand woman, actually, excuse me. And they took to do me an ayahuasca ceremony in a couple days. We looked at each other, we thought about it, we got the number, and said no at first, and then continued thinking about it, and we decided to do it. And the lead up to this ceremony was so bad, so fucking terrible. I'm on an island in the middle of nowhere. It's rainy season, so it's like the worst thunderstorms you can experience. And I'm on a dirt bike with all my gear, my cameras, my laptops, everything. I got a big poncho over top, a backpack on my front, a backpack on my back, and it's just downpouring nonstop. So finally we get to this hostel where we're supposed to get picked up from at this ceremony. And hours are going by. Finally we get a break in the rain. Me and Travis were mad at each other about something. We were having a disagreement. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the dirt bike there. They sent us an address to our phone, and I had the address. Dude, that was the worst idea ever, first of all, because it's instantly started raining again. So hard you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. Now I'm on a dirt bike in the middle of this island with no paved roads. It's taking me up these trails. I'm literally on a trail of bricks this wide, while there's a river flooding down from the rain on the sides of the bricks, and I'm just riding this dirt bike up a hill on these fucking bricks. So I finally get to this like big open field, and I find the house, but I'm on the wrong side of the fence, and now I don't know how to get over there. It's still downpouring. The bike falls in the field. I'm screaming. I'm so mad. Finally, I go back down the hill on those bricks again, go to another hostel, find these people I know. They said, no, it's up here. It's up here. I took a left instead of a right on this brick road. Now I'm going back up this brick road, taking a right. And it's just the worst experience of my life. I finally get there, soaking wet, head to toe. Everyone's sitting around this big giant fire in their comfy clothes. There's incense burning, peaceful music. Everybody's so happy. And I just pull in. And I looked the shaman in the face like, I need to smoke a cigarette. I need to smoke a cigarette.
That's probably not how you want to go into this type of thing, right?
I didn't want to do it. I pulled him aside and then, listen, man, I don't think it's the best idea that I do this right now. I am in like the worst head state possible. Like, I really don't think this is a good idea. He said, you know what, man, just talk me out of smoking a cigarette. He said, listen, go put some dry clothes on. Just come out, sit next to the fire. And go put dry clothes on, sit next to the fire, and me and Travis aren't like fully friends yet again. And I'm just uncomfortable in the situation. And finally, that lady that I did a rapé with comes over to me. He's like, you want to do some rapé? I'm like, yes, give me some. And I did it, and it changed my whole demeanor on the outlook. And for the next 2 days, this is what we did. We just had there was like 12 people there, and there was some really good positives. There were some really good negatives. Some lady brought her 4-year-old kid to this place with her and drugged her up like a NyQuil or something. The kid slept next to me while his mother tripped balls for 2 days. And that was a negative experience. But it just led me into a really good direction. I don't know if I'm going to be going to like a trip or that too, or
Did you have any like massive takeaways from that experience? Like my understanding of ayahuasca is like people you go take it, and it shows you the path you're supposed to take in life.
so it's like a lot of people get a misconception of the ceremony, right? The ceremony is about the experience. It's about the people there, about connecting with people while also having your own personal moments. So I didn't go so far into a hole to like where like some other people were like really tripping balls. I wasn't that far into as some people, but like my visuals and my experiences were mainly around the people that I was with. There was this girl there, her name was Andrea, We like were staring across through the fire at each other, like at the peak of our trips, and like connecting with our minds, dude. Like it's just bizarre, like how it would happen. And like me and her shared, um, we shared our experiences over the next 2 days with each other, and that was like something I took from that. And it just the conversations I would have with her, and like she would enter my mind and help me process some things. And then we would start singing. The shaman dude was playing guitar and singing, tripping balls, and he's just completely like a rock star. I don't know. There was like music I heard in my life. I don't know if it was the drugs or what, but like
Yeah.
so there was. It just really made me let go of a lot of things, and it brought me to a sense of peace, and it led me to go explore myself more. After the ceremony, I went and did a breath work class. You guys ever done breath work before?
Yeah, yeah.
I did breath work with these people the following day. There was a very hippie hostel with yoga and breath work, and like half the people are naked. Like nobody wears shoes. I mean, very borderline culty, and just having these experiences with the breath work really the breath work blew my mind. I cried like a baby, like cried like a fucking baby. And when the lady would come over and like try and like ease me like while I'm in that, she kept saying compassion in my ear, compassion for others, compassion for yourself. That stuck with me to this day. And it really set me up for a trajectory for finding self-worth and inner peace, and it just
Right.
made me get rid of all that shit I was doing for the past 5 6 years, and the drugs and just getting fucked up all the time, not having the goals, and it led me to be the person I am today. So yeah, I took a lot away from that experience. It wasn't just like your normal eat a handful of mushrooms with buddies or eat a couple tabs of acid with the buddies trip.
Right. Yeah.
It was a very strong experience, and I suggest it to anybody.
I think it's awesome, man. Just from like outside perspective, and going back to you saying like I don't know why this is just stuck with me. You saying this, but you saying that had everything gone right, you may not have kept doing it, dude. But seeing the growth through everything, man, and like where you're at now, you're this whole time you've been talking, you've taken responsibility for every single thing, every issue. You've been like, yeah, I was doing this, I was doing that. There's um, no pushing the blame on others, for anything, good, bad, ugly. And I think that is something that a lot of people could learn from. It's like look at how far you can come and how much further you can go once you start with like, okay, it's on me. If I want to accomplish this, it's on me. And just seeing how like confident you are in everything, and then how much you're growing, dude, and how because you're a completely different dude than from what I knew you in the army. Like night and day, amazing to see. But I loved you then too, dude. Getting the ass tattoos was awesome, but um, blown away by where you're at now. Like, love following along, dude. Get all the updates on YouTube. Watching you climb your last mountain, dude, was incredible. The whole from base camp all the way up was awesome. So,
Yeah, no, I think when people can learn to blame themselves, you find so much more peace, because you're not looking for the easy way out. Now you're just searching for that. You know, it's how am I going to get myself out of this? Or even if it's not something bad, like what am I? Is this worth having in my life? Now? If there's something that if you're looking for blame or looking to blame somebody, there's always some way that you can take a step back and pin it on yourself. You know, even if it's just like, oh well, why am I hanging out with this person? Or this person brought me to here, you know, and if you say to yourself, oh, well, you know, it's my turn to grow away from this type of person or something like that. And it just helps you succeed in your own life. You know? And I really find a lot of success to myself by blaming myself. You know, I just the other day, my girlfriend, she asked me to help her sell a fridge on Facebook Marketplace. I did, and the lady bought it within like an hour of me selling it. And she had me put her Venmo in, and I never realized my girlfriend spells her last name with 3 T's on Venmo. And I sent it to somebody with 2 T's, same exact name. And I was sitting in the car, so mad, furious at myself. And I'm going through my brain, just trying to figure out to blame somebody else, dude. And that was the first time in a very long time where it was like those things where I just wanted to blame somebody else because it was so stupid, so stupid. And then jokingly, like after I finally calmed down, I looked at it and I was like, you know, you could have just spelt your name right, then this wouldn't happen. You know, obviously it's a joke, and but it's like one of those things where you can't blame anybody else. You got to blame yourself. And once you blame yourself, you just got to get over your own feelings. You don't got to worry about anybody else. You just got to get over yourself. You know.
Yeah, and I think you said something else too that goes like hand in hand with this is like all taking responsibility, blame yourself, but also don't dwell on it and have compassion for yourself. Because I think a lot of people get hung up on that. Like, I'm a fuck up. I did this wrong. I did that. So they get there, they get to the blaming themselves part. But equally as important is having compassion for yourself, realizing, yeah, I did fuck up, but also it's normal. Like, it's okay. I'm not bad.
I never put those two and two together like that before. And you actually, the way you just said that really sung to my soul. That was actually, that was a full circle moment right there, what you just said.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I went through ketamine therapy, and that was kind of my connection with that. So because I was actually at a point in my life where I was like, I was either going to do ketamine therapy or I was going to go to Peru and do an ayahuasca experience. And I probably still will do the ayahuasca just to go to Peru. But for me, ketamine helped me connect those dots of like, I would blame myself, but I would never forgive myself. I would never have compassion. That kind of helped me get to that point of like, I need to be nicer to myself, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up, we look at it where we spend 24 hours a day with ourselves,
Yeah.
You got to be nice to yourself, and nobody else is going to do it for you. If you're not nice to yourself, who's going to be nice to you?
Yeah. And also, too, man, like if you're not nice to yourself, like you need to love yourself and really truly love other people. It's like kind of the way I look at it. So, if you want to be a good person and put that love and good energy out there, like you have to, that it all starts with you first before you can express it.
100%. Absolutely 100%. I couldn't fall in love with another person for 6 years. I couldn't fucking figure out my own self,
Yeah.
So it really begins with you. It's only you. In everything, it's you. When you figure that, people hear that and they're just like, no, there's just no way. There's just no way. But no, it really is. It's you. It's you.
Yeah.
Nobody is there with you when you pop out of that vagina. Nobody's there with you when you jump in that fucking coffin. It's all you with what you're gonna put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's incredible to see your progression. Just like you're honestly inspiring with how much you've gone through, where you've gone through, and you've pushed through it, made it to where you're at now. You've got that platinum YouTube thing behind you.
Yeah.
You're climbing mountains. You're on your way. Like you're already, knocking off mountains. You're headed Where the Kilimanjaro next?
Yeah. So where are you at right now? This whole thing.
So right now I'm in U.S. Virgin Islands, which is on the
Okay.
Caribbean chain right next to Puerto Rico. Basically about halfway down the Caribbean chain. But in 3 weeks, April 30th actually. I haven't bought the ticket yet, but I decided the day, April 30th, I'm gonna go fly to Tanzania. And in Tanzania is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, Kilimanjaro. It's just shy of 20,000 feet, and it's one of the 7 summits. So
What are the 7 summits?
you've got Aconcagua, which I just did, this one. Then you've got Kilimanjaro, which I'm doing next in Africa. Then you have Elbrus, which is in Russia, which I'll do in August. Then you have Denali, which is in Alaska. Then you have Puncak Pyramids, which is Papua New Guinea. And that one, it's either that one or the one in Australia people go by. But the Puncak Pyramids is taller than the one in Australia, and it's more widely known as a 7. I'm going to end up doing both of them anyway, so I'll do 8 total.
Just to be sure.
Exactly.
It's loud.
Yeah.
I'll be sailing to Australia anyway, so, that'd be dumb to not do it. Then you got Mount Vincent, which is in Antarctica. And when I do Mount Vincent is when I'll do my South Pole expedition as well. It's they're fairly close to each other, a rucksack away. So I'll do those together, and then the final boss is good old Mount Everest.
Heck yeah.
So you're saving Everest for last.
So it's either going to be Vincent or Everest. It's going to be financials at that point. My plan for Everest or Vincent is my boat. That's how I'm going to fund it. Between my boat and my savings, I'm going to sell the boat, take that money, and pay for the last trip or the second to last one. And then at that point, I'll be so close to breaking the world record. I'll do some crowdfunding for the last one and sponsorships for organizations. And I mean, I just got like 40% off of my Aconcagua trip from Grahalis Expeditions, shout out Grahalis, just for making videos and working with them. So I'm hoping that I can do something along those lines for the last one. As I say it now, if anybody's watching it, if you want to help me out, feel free.
Yeah. Do you have any crowdfunding options right now?
Right now, not really. I don't openly go out asking for money. It's not who I am. Once it gets to the more expensive mountains, definitely. And when things break, that's when I like to ask for things.
Yeah.
I don't like to just ask for money because it's the boy who cried wolf. You can only do it so many times before people are like, okay, yeah, this guy is asking.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the boy who cried wolf just yet. I'm gonna hold out for that.
Yeah.
But
So what's the training look like, especially with you, like sailing and like being in the islands and stuff? Like, what is the training like?
well, one of the biggest reasons that I chose to start with Aconcagua. Aconcagua is the second tallest of the 7, and it's the tallest mountain in the world outside of Asia. It's a very large mountain, but it's non-technical. So you don't need any ropes. You don't need all you need is crampons and your summit wear. But you don't need to be roped up. You're not climbing or anything like that. It's don't get me wrong. It's still incredibly steep, and one misstep, you're sliding 4,000 or 5,000 feet down. But it's the least technical tall mountain you can do. So that was in my head. I was like, if I can do this one, I can do Everest. Or my brain works in a weird way, but yeah, you get.
Yeah.
So since I was here for so long, I decided to save up some money this year by get my job again, the same job that I had 2 years ago, to save up for the money to buy an engine to start doing this. So I bossed off my job again. I was like, all right, if I'll stay this season, I'll save as much money as I can. And I'll pay for a couple mountains while I'm here and get those rolling. Because before I did my first mountain, I was just some dumb guy on a boat saying he was going to do this. Now that I finished the mountain, I'm not just a dumb guy on a boat. saying things. I'm just now just a dumb guy on a boat trying to do dumb things. So, but the training is mainly running and treadmill with a weighted pack at incline full speed. I couldn't tell you the amount of time I've spent on the treadmill because I'm literally at sea level here. I'm at the worst location in the world to train for high altitude.
Yeah.
So it was very nauseating thinking about putting all this effort in and getting there and not being able to do it. So I just bit the bullet and I did it, you know?
After knocking that one out, has that changed your training?
Yeah, I am completely lacking in my training this time wholeheartedly, you know? And my girlfriend even said something the other day. She's like, you know, you're not really taking this one as serious as Aconcagua. Now, don't get me wrong, Kilimanjaro is the easiest of all of them. It is. Fat people do Kilimanjaro. So, but I keep telling myself that, and that's what leads me to slack on my training. So, I had a conversation with my girlfriend today. I was like, I gotta kick myself in the ass. Just put this last one really hard, pedal to the metal, just so I'm not dying on that. I don't have a doubt in my mind on making the top. It's just how hard it's gonna be and on me, you know. So, but yeah, that's about it, man. Once I leave though, and I'm sailing again, I run. I got a 25-pound weight that I sit right over here, and I run. And I do one side at a time, the other side at a time, and then again I'll run 5-6 miles a day. And I'll run every other day or sometimes every day. And that's just how I occupy myself. Lots of push-ups. There's only one place on this boat I can do push-ups, and it's right in the middle where you tattooed me on the floor. Right, the only place I can fit to do push-ups. So push-ups, running, and that weight, and eating properly. My diet is heavy diet. And if you stay consistent, you guys are both in the military, you get it. When we were there training every single day, staying consistent, it didn't matter what we were putting into our bodies, we were still running 7-minute miles. You know, we would 7-minute miles drunk, you know, so.
Dude, I ran today, and it was humbling, dude. I ran. I was trying to see how quick I could run a mile, and I did it in like 8:20, and I wanted to die. I was fucking done, dude. I was like, but
It's humbling, man. It is a humbling experience.
yeah.
Absolutely humbling experience. I am my biggest demon in my life is marijuana. I love weed more than I love a lot of things. You know, so when I'm training, like when I did Aconcagua, I didn't smoke for 5 months. You know, I didn't smoke at all. And then when I finished Aconcagua and I'm in Argentina, you know, bought weed and been back on the smoking train ever since. And that's my biggest downfall with Kilimanjaro right now. I'm not fully sober in my mind. I kick drinking and smoking completely there. So that's where my lack of determination, motivation, and strong will falls. And I know that, and I own that, and that's the biggest thing I struggle with to this day is kicking weed, and I need to. And I love who I am without weed more than I love who I am with weed. But it's got just such a strong grip and it's my way out of everything. You know, it's my, when I'm depressed, you can smoke. When I'm upset, I can smoke. When I'm bored, I can smoke. When I don't want to do things I got to do, I can smoke. You know, so that's what has a grip on me right now. And it's actually I've got one little nug left on my desk right there. And when I finish that nug, that's it until I come back from the mountain.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little different. I'm going through quitting nicotine right now. And I want to rip my head off sometimes, but yeah, dude, it's tough. It's like every moment that I'm like, oh, this is when I would, throw Zen in or whatever. Not force myself to sit there bored and not do it is tough.
Just something to do. The habitual activity.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. Habitual activity. Hold on, it's raining. I gotta close my hatch.
So what's so you got Kilimanjaro next. what's kind of what's your goal time frame looking like for everything?
Well, that really depends on money. Um, right now, what I'm looking at doing is reaching out to documentaries, the people who make documentaries and stuff,
Yeah.
to see if I can find someone to be on the bandwagon with me enough, where they want to help me make like true documentary about this. Do you remember Nim's Day? 14 Peaks guy. He had that documentary on
Yeah.
Netflix. Trying to build something like that. But right now, with it being such the early stages, I don't see it fully being committable. But if I didn't have to worry about any money, I could probably do it in 2 years.
2 years.
Actually, I 100% could do it in 2 years. You know, the biggest thing is Denali and Everest, you can only do in May. So Everest is a 2.5 month expedition, and Denali is like a month expedition. So you
What
can't.
makes it so long? Is it just like getting there, getting acclimated, or is it just a wait to get
The acclimatizing process. You know, it's really just a month of sitting around and going on hikes and walking around just to get used to that before you go bring yourself up to almost 9,000 meters. Everest is almost 30,000 feet tall. It's 6,000 feet taller than the one I just did. You know, so a lot of people go to the mountain I just did to train for Everest, but
there? Okay.
there's no better training than being there and experiencing the Himalayas, being in the mountains. So I'd have to do Denali one in May 1 year, and then Everest in May the next year. So that would be the biggest thing. Saying 2 years, you know, right? And then the next thing is my sailing around the world. By doing Denali next year in May, I'm probably going to miss the window to sail across the Pacific before typhoon season hits, which will make me wait a whole nother year. So realistically, it's going to look like 3.5 years for me to finish all of it. Especially fun to get all myself. But if I could get a network or something like that to help me produce it and fund this 2 years,
Yeah.
that's the loose plan. And in sailing, there are only loose plans. You have a definitive sailing, it's bad because the weather always wins.
So what is it like going to what's like the planning look like for going to like the North and South Pole? Like is it kind of similar to where there's like a specific window where you would go or
So North Pole, I have no idea. That is something I haven't even looked into. I haven't even researched. North Pole and the Arctic Sea are going to be my last two things. The Arctic Sea is up by Greenland. The biggest challenge with me is for my DWI in the Army, I'm not allowed in Canada. So I can't really make a stop off the coast of Canada to get to the sea. What I'd have to do is do like a straight shot to Greenland and then over into the Arctic Sea. Or I guess I could anchor off Canada's coast and things like that. But that's why I'm leaving that one from last. And then the North Pole, the South Pole's so easy because it's with Vincent and I can do an expedition together with that. The North Pole, I'm going to have to do my own separate expedition to get doing that. I'm not sailing there. That is for absolute certainty.
I was gonna say, I was like, how the fuck are you gonna sail it all?
No desire, no plan, no anything to sail there. It's gonna be an extravaganza with my legs for sure. Um, but South Pole, like I said, is I'm gonna do that with Vincent and Nim's Day, the 14th Peaks guy. He was actually at Aconcagua with me when I did Aconcagua. He was taking an expedition group to the summit. I didn't get to speak personal words with him, but I did see him, and my buddy was talking to. My buddy got his phone number and talked to him. My buddy's a skydiving instructor and lives in Dubai, and Nim's Day is also a big skydiver, so they connected in that way. So I keep pushing over to my friend, said, "Hey, tell him about me."
Yeah.
That's why I plan on doing Vincent and the South Pole with. And if once I get my foot into the door with them to do one, and they hear my story and they see how dedicated I am, and this is just me putting it out into the universe, just like I've done everything else in my past. I'm just speaking it to truth. Then I feel like him and his crew will want to be on board and take me at that risk. So that's kind of where those two fall in line. Then once that's done, I mean, I plan on doing everything solo on the boat except for the Arctic Sea. And I keep going back and forth with the whole solo thing. I want to do it completely solo or not. I've just recently had friends on my boat, and we sailed to Puerto Rico together, and it was a blast. Besides that, I've only had one other person on my boat for a long period of time, and got seasick the whole time, so it wasn't the best experience of like people helping me on the boat. I keep going back and forth about it.
Yeah.
By doing it solo, it's just my ego. I guess that would go into the world record too. He sailed all 7 oceans solo, and then hiked all 7 summits, this and that. But I guess I don't have to. So that's still up in the air. But in the plan in my head, I want to do it with my buddy Joe Drago. He's got a very, very beautiful Cape Tory. It's his business actually right now. It's called Sailing Resolution. He sails out of Kingston, New York, and New Bedford, Massachusetts. So he does expeditions all over the place on his boat. And I've already talked to him, and he said, "This, if I don't have any charters or anything like that, we could go do it." So that'd be cool to go sail up to the Arctic Sea, cross that line, and then come on back down. And after that, Everest and North Pole are left. So I can't even imagine what my life will be like when I'm at that stage.
So what does that look like? What does it mean to what constitutes sailing one of the seas? Like, is there a specific route you have to take?
No, so you got the North Atlantic and the South Atlantic, and then North Pacific and the South Pacific. They're split in two by one lovely line called the equator. So once I cross the equator, I'm in the South Pacific or the North Pacific or the South Atlantic or the South Pacific. So right now I've done North Atlantic. When I leave here in August, I'm sailing to Brazil to cross the equator, and then I'm going to sail up the Amazon River probably 100 to 200 miles. So that'll be a pretty cool video when that happens. No, there's not a single YouTube video out there of somebody sailing on the Amazon River. So that'll be cool to have that for first.
That's sick.
Then that'll be around hurricane season. So it'll be good to get away from the hurricanes. And then once I finish playing in Brazil for however long it'll be, I'll sail back north over the Panama Canal. Then I'll cross the Panama Canal. Then I'll automatically be in the North Pacific. So then that'll be 3 oceans. Then once I start sailing over into the South Pacific Ocean, where the South Pacific Islands are, Fiji, Tonga, Marquise Islands, all those stuff, the lower I go, then I'm finally in the South Pacific. Then I got to sail to New Zealand. When I'm sailing to New Zealand, I got to go about 200 miles south of the island, and I'll cross the line for the Southern Ocean. And then once I cross that, I'll pop back up and go to New Zealand, and that'll be 5. And then I've got the Indian Ocean, and the Arctic. Indian Ocean I'll do when I sail through up past Australia into the Philippines, Indonesia, all that. Then I'll be in the Indian Ocean. And then depending on what's going on in the Middle East at that time, it'll be depending if I go around Africa and back up into the Caribbean, or if I go up through the Gibraltar Strait, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, all in there, and then into the Med Sea, then down to the Azores, back to the Caribbean. That's what I want to do, is go up around Africa and then go see Saudi Arabia and everything like that. But if I have a chance of losing life or limb or boat, I will later option and go around Africa instead.
So what does that planning look like for, like, do you have like designated spots you're going to stop off and like resupply? Like, how do you figure that out? Like, what are the logistics?
So a lot. This is where the big misconception of sailing comes from. A lot of people think that I'm out in the middle of the ocean for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time, and you don't see places. There's only a certain amount of times when that happens. Besides that, I've got this app on my phone called Navionics, and it's the same thing as Apple Maps on your phone, but for boaters. So they have anchorages all marked out and labeled out, and I'll just point and shoot. I always have a plan A and a plan B when I go sailing. Plan A is destination one. And, when I go to Brazil, it'll probably be to like St. Lucia. It's like a 3-day sail. And then plan B would be like Martinique, which is a 1.5-day sail. So if I ever run into trouble out at sea or anything's going on that I need help or I need to go resupply or something like that, then I choose plan B, which is shorter distance, and I go there. But usually once I do a long sail, I'm doing the long sail to get away from the hurricanes. So I'll sail to St. Lucia. And then once I'm at St. Lucia, I'm 100 miles to Trinidad. And then I'm just going to island hop, just a day sail, 8-hour, 10-hour sails to the next island, then to Trinidad. Then once I'm in Trinidad, then I'll be going down the coast of South America. Then it'll be more like what people think, where I'll be out at sea for a couple of days until I get to my destination. But it's all, everything in sailing is very loose. When you start planning and sailing to a schedule is when things go wrong. You can't sail to a schedule. You have to keep everything loose. And that's
I
just
feel
kind
like that's gonna force you to be so patient and learn patience with it, because
100%. I still haven't learned. I still have not learned.
So when you're like out in these like long periods of time, like when you have to go to sleep, like how does that work? Do you just like anchor up somewhere?
So it depends on how far I'm off from land. So if I'm 100 miles offshore, I'll sleep for an hour, wake up for about 5 minutes, look around, check my radar, check my things, go back to sleep for another hour. My radar has alarms on it that I set at a 5-mile radius and a 2-mile radius and a 1-mile radius. So if anything ever breaks those barriers, my alarm on my radar will go off and let me know that that's there. I also set alarms on my phone to wake me up. And when I wake up, that's when I check everything, make sure everything's kosher, nobody's near me, and that's that. If I'm closer to land, I usually don't sleep. I'll wait till I arrive, or during the day, I'll take little naps. Because the thing is, when you're close to land, that's when the problems happen. That's when you can hit things. Out in the middle of the ocean, the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to drive in a circle. When I'm close to land, the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to hit a rock and I'm going to sink. So when you're closer to shore, it's to stay way more diligent, way more focused because of boat traffic, islands, rocks. If I fell asleep for 4 hours and I'm averaging 7 miles an hour, that's 28 miles I can travel in that 4 hours. If I deviate course and that's 28 miles, then I can hit land, versus if I'm out 100 miles offshore, I fall asleep for 4 or 5 hours on accident. Worst comes to worst, I run into another boat, but it's not very likely. But if I fall asleep for that time and I sail 50 miles the wrong direction, at least I got another 50-mile buffer before something bad happens.
Right.
So that's basically, in layman's terms, I'm close to land. I'm not really sleeping at night. If I'm doing long passages at sea, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on boat traffic, depending on where I am. I'll sleep for, wake up, then go back to sleep. I'm not even awake when I wake up. It's like, it's muscle memory. I love
shift. You get woken up.
Yeah.
straight up, literally. Open my eyes, make sure that's the right color. I poke my head up, make sure I don't see any boat lights, and then back up.
Have you seen any like crazy shit at night? Like I'm sure, like dude, when you're out there and it's a clear night, you probably see like incredible like stars and shit like that.
Yeah, dude. There's no light pollution, so it's the best sunsets you'll ever see in your entire life. Best sunrises, and every single night at sea, the sky is just absolutely lit up, man. I've never seen stars like that in my entire life, and I absolutely love it. Love it. And when things are going wrong and you're in bad weather, I prefer dark instead of the day, because during the day, I can see what's coming at me. I can see the 10-foot wave. I can see the fucking thunderstorm over there coming towards me. Where at nighttime, all you do is you hear the water splashing and the boat's rocking. It's a lot more comfortable to take away your vision and just listen and feel the boat. than to see what you're sailing into. So I actually prefer the nighttime sometimes.
Interesting.
It's been cool to see, just follow along on your YouTube channel and all you share on that with your sailing and stuff. Like, um, just seeing how like real it is. Like you don't edit out when you're scared of something. Like you're full blown there in the moment, like stressed out with it, and you post that stuff, and it like makes someone like myself who watches and follow along feel like, oh wow, I get that a little bit now. You know, you don't make it look as easy as, you know, well, you make it look easier than it is, but you kind of let in that it's not all as easy as you see online and everything like that. So
That's where I try to be authentic as I can, you know. I mean, when I first started resonating with people, it was me being authentic, you know. It was me. My boat was absolutely destroyed. I was cleaning my boat, smoking some joints, lighting an incense, and drinking coffee. You know, I was just being me. I was being authentic. And then, you know, the likes and the shares and the views get to you. And I was trying to be someone I wasn't for like a 6, 7 month period. And then finally I started being authentic again. And it just, when it's just like lying, you know, if you lie, you got to remember that lie. If, if I'm being authentic on camera and I'm not trying to make everything look shiny and beautiful, it just makes everything easier for me, you know, and in the long run. And that's where I find comfort in it. And it's really I'm still learning to this day. It's hard being in front of a camera. You know, you don't, especially when there's nobody there to like, you can't see their emotions like what you said.
right.
It's hard to just talk to a camera by yourself. But yeah, no, I truly believe being your most authentic self is the only way to be flourish on social media and flourish with people around the world. Most of my viewers are 25 to 35. So I hit that where a lot of sailing channels, their viewers are in their 50s and 60s. They're in the older age bracket. But those are those people that are living vicariously through you. I hit with people that want to do what I'm doing now while they can. And there's actually somebody who was anchored out with me a couple days ago. He been following me since I was in Maine. He sailed all the way down here. He saw my boat. He hit me up on Instagram, told me that he's been following me. We had a beer together, and now we're good friends. And now he's sailing around the Caribbean on his boat that he spent an entire year rebuilding, and he's doing the same exact thing. So it's cool to connect with people that took something from me just being myself. It's actually really cool.
Well, it's awesome to see and hear about, like, man, all the struggles you've been through being, you know, you were in upstate New York, you were in Costa Rica, you've been all over the place, and you know, you've lived a lot of different lives, and you've made it to, you're making your life what it is. It's, you know, people can resonate with that, that, you know, it's inspiring that
Yeah.
anybody can do it.
Yeah, I think people like you were saying, like, dude, people crave that authenticity, like especially in this day and age where it's like you never know what's true, what's not true, and they see someone like yourself, like being you. It's like they resonate with that.
Yeah. I want to look back at my videos in 30 years and feel the emotions I felt then again.
Yeah,
You know, if I'm putting on a persona and I'm being fake, I'm not gonna have that. You know, just as much as this is for other people, this all really started as a journal and a notebook for me. You know, I'm writing a book about everything that I'm doing right now. And I've got a book for the Seven Summits and I got a book for the Seven Seas. And the Seven Seas book is just my daily logs while I'm out at sea, writing about what happened, writing about what I'm feeling, experiencing. And that's just something else that like I've started for like my kids and my grandkids. They can like read it and see my handwriting. And then I have a Polaroid camera and I take pictures of the Polaroid and I take the picture into that day so I can put
that's
a
cool.
photo and a writing back to that exact thing. I can get that emotion back to myself. And although that's for me now, in the future when I finish doing it all and I put it together as a book, it's gonna be I want people to resonate with it as much as I do when they're reading it and seeing the pictures. They get to experience the same exact thing that I'm experiencing, but at a later time. You know?
So looking back, what getting out of the army, what is like the number one piece of advice from all your lessons learned that you would say is like, what would you leave someone that's thinking about getting out of the army or on their way out and they have no fucking idea what they want to do next? What would you say to someone like that?
Um, I think I'm just have to spin it back to make a goal. If if you're in the army right now and you're thinking about getting out, instead of getting out because you're tired of doing the bullshit and getting smoked and dealing with the big green weenie, if you're not ready to get out of the military, don't. You know, suck it up for another 3, 4 years until you figure out that, okay, when I get out, this is what I want to do. The military is so good. No matter how bad it is and how bad we think it is while we're there, it is so good to set you up for your future. You know? And if you're finishing your first contract at 21, 22 years old, and you want to just get out because you've got $40,000, $50,000 saved away, and you've got this and that, but you don't know what you want to do. I don't know if it's the best idea to get out and go free range chicken, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That
But
that
you don't have that much money saved and everything. Like,
that was my downfall. You know, I never knew what I wanted to do in life except for the army. I didn't have the option to stay in or get out. You know, I was forced out. So I got thrown into the void of figuring out what I wanted to do. And the only way to do that is by going through a lot of bad times. And I finally made it there. But if you don't have to go through those bad times, find a goal you want to chase, break that goal down into smaller goals, and just walk those steps. And that's really the best piece of advice, not even people just in the military, but for anybody. It's find a goal. There's there's so much in your life that you can just write off as that's a hobby or that I'm just doing it for fun. But don't write it off of that. If that's what you want to do it. You know, I'm walking up mountains and sailing a boat. I call myself successfully unemployed. You know, I'm hoping this works out for me in the future. It's where I can do motivational talks and my book does well and I can make documentaries about it all this shit. And you know, 10 years ago, I thought this was stupid and I thought this was just a hobby. You know, so find a goal, break it down, and just stick with it. And that's just what it is. The biggest thing is just trying to figure out what you want to do.
yeah, I love it, dude.
Oh,
I will say that is the best advice that anyone has given on this podcast yet.
yeah.
You're our first guest.
I'll hold that trophy high, brother.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, dude. So we'll start wrapping this up. But I know one of the things want to ask about. So, like asking about different organizations you want to highlight. I know we asked you about that. You put the Hudson Valley Center for Reintegration. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you got the Hudson Valley Center for Veteran Reintegration, which is actually my father's non-for-profit for veterans. My dad is a Afghanistan combat veteran himself. My dad went through terrible PTSD, battles with it to this day. I remember when I got out of the army and I went home, my dad was a completely new person. He went through therapy, he found help, did breath work, did all this crazy stuff to fix himself. To where he went from being a very angry person, hated the world, hated life, to being somebody who wants to pursue happiness, thrive in this world, and help others. And I would never expected my father to be like that. So my father actually now has dedicated his entire life to helping veterans, and just in New York State right now, but he just keeps growing and growing. He's got 3 offices now, and one of his offices is it's like a YMCA for veterans. And this fundamentally started by building boats by hand with wood and fiberglass. Therapy for veterans who are struggling. You know, you come into a room with 10, 12 veterans and you all build something together. You're all building your own one, but you're all building together. You're hanging out with like-minded people, vets for 4 or 5 hours, 3, 4 days a week. Makes you feel whole, makes you feel you're at home, makes you feel comfortable. And it's absolutely massive. If anybody out there is in New York and you're looking for help, you're looking just to go to have coffee, they have coffee time. You know, 1 day a week they go out and 10, 12 people meet up and just have coffee together. You know, just to get you off your couch, get you out of your mind, and get you exploring and experiencing life again. And his biggest thing that he did recently was sail the entire length of the Hudson River, or kayak the entire length of the Hudson River in a handmade kayak with him and 5 vets that built kayaks together to raise awareness for veteran suicide. That was when 22 vets were dying a day. His biggest thing was 22 and live. Any of the videos he has, just live. And yeah, so what he's doing for veterans is absolutely amazing. And even if you're out of state, out of New York, and you want to learn about it, you should definitely go over and check it out. It's HVNCR.
We'll share the website and everything too.
You guys check out the website, and they have suicide hotlines. They have you name it, what a vet wants, it's there. Promising. So definitely
That's
check.
awesome. That's close to home for you too. It's your dad started that. That's
Very proud of my dad. Very proud of what he's accomplished and what he's doing for the veteran community.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure like when people hear about that, like they're gonna be inspired to start something similar in their area.
There was nothing like that in New York, and that's where he got the idea from. He was going to college, he was using his GI Bill, and this started from a class project, and he took that class project and made it into one of the biggest nonprofits for veterans in New York State.
That's awesome.
So it's really cool, and it's really beneficial for a lot of people, and it's helped a lot of people. So hope it keeps on doing that, and I hope people go check it out and support it.
Heck yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. So, anything else you want to touch on? What we got here?
Well, I mean, besides that, anyone who's looking for a house in North Carolina, hit up Charlie Skinner.
Yeah, we do.
That, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you bringing me on as not only your first guest, but as a friend. And hopefully in the future, you guys keep this going. And you ever want to do it again, let me know. I'm going to be knocking off all those.
Man, thank you so much.
So the smaller goals, when they get bigger, I'd love to tell my story again.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man, thank you so much. We really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and good luck, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I'll be sending you a picture from Kilimanjaro in a couple weeks. Don't worry.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Look for it. All right, brother. Well, we'll end it here, but take it easy, man, and good luck.
Cool, man. I'll talk to you guys soon, all right?